I'm snapping, boy. So, you wearing your tights today, Con?
I sure am.
Fucking hell.
I'm wearing my tights. I've done my exercise. I've done my workouts. I've got the only thing left to do is go for a run, and then I am golden, and the tights have paid for themselves 10 times over, and they're going to be sweaty, and the crotch is going to stink because I don't wear any boxers with them. It's going to be a real fish dick. It's going to be a real schmegma dick.
Very nice. Very sexy.
Very sexy. And yeah, Tamsin's really going to love me and appreciate me, isn't she? The missus. Come here, baby. I got some cheese dick for you.
That's what I say to her a few times in the past, John.
I say to her, do you want any brie with those sardines?
When I do. Of course, when I say it, I mean, when you say it, you're talking bollocks because you've only got this little fucking pencil dick, haven't you? I mean, with me, she's got this fucking 10 inches of prime English beef. With you, it's more like a fucking salamander.
It might be
a little lizard.
It might be 10 inches in like proportion with your body, but it's not actually 10 inches, John. Just looks like it.
No, it's back. No, it's back, right? The same genes in the DNA that cause autism also mean your dick grows beyond its normal size to about 10 inches. I mean, that's girth, by the way.
Okay.
No, the same genes causing autism give men who are autistic a disproportionately large penis, immense staying power, and irresistible sexual attraction for women. It's just a fact. I'm sorry, mate. I mean, you can laugh about it all you like, you can deny it, but it's just a fact. We are more sexually appealing than neurotypicals.
John.
It's a fact. What?
John.
What?
I'm just going to say a couple of words, and then I think we'll leave that conversation there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Naked FaceTime.
What?
Naked FaceTime.
Naked FaceTime. I've never done a naked
bells.
FaceTime.
Yeah. Yes, no. You fucking lying cunt.
I've never done a naked FaceTime. Have I?
But then I feel privileged.
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Let's just say you were bladdered, which is probably why you don't remember.
Oh, is that when I showed you my knob?
Now we're there.
Oh, fucking hell. I'm ringing, it's ringing some bells now. Fucking hell. That was a while back, wasn't it? Must have been
it was a couple of years. You was eating chips from the night before. It was in the morning. And you had a bottle of wine in hand, and you just had a shower.
Oh, that was about a year ago.
Watermilled.
That was in Dublin. That was. I was with Julian. I remember that.
I'll never forget that. Connor,
I'm glad you were over 18.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that was a fucking great weekend. That was me and Julian going out on the piss in Dublin. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
I hope you're going to add this to the description, considering you've put once more we have Benham cross-dressing in his tights.
I was about to say that.
Maybe put something nice. or just put kind of reminisces on the worst time of his life. What are you writing now? Let's not even start on the EBG. Windmilling in Dublin. Oh, God.
Anyway. So, the two most important numbers in the dictionary in the universe, excluding 6 and 9, obviously. I have told you about my friend from many years ago bribing a homeless person for sex with a bottle of vodka, haven't I?
Yeah, we spoke about it about 5 episodes ago, I think, as well.
Yeah. I fucking still wake up with a cold sweat thinking about that dirty bastard. Anyway, the two most important numbers in the universe, apart from 6 and 9, obviously, are 80 and 20. I don't think we've spoken about the 80-20 principle on this podcast yet. Not explicit. I know we've mentioned it a couple of times.
No, we haven't.
Well, I'm amazed. Hey?
We haven't.
I'm amazed at how few people know. I think everyone's heard of the Pareto principle. Basically, a guy called Vilfredo Pareto back in the 18th century, I believe, 19th century. He just did a bunch of work. He's an economist and various things. He did a bunch of work, and he realized something like 80% of the property in Austria was owned by just 20% of the people, the wealth that is. And he thought that was a bit strange. So he turned his gaze elsewhere and realized it was the same everywhere. And obviously in years since then, 100 and something years since then, we could find, you just Google Wilfredo Pareto. Sometimes it's called the law of the vital few, the 80-20 principle, whatever. We found that it's almost a universal principle. And in essence, in any given system, society, biology, environment, whatever, software, 80% of the shit happening is down to 20% of causes. The numbers ain't always 80-20, you know, they even have to add up to 100, so you can have a 93-12, in which case you'd say 93% of the effects come from just 12% of the effort, which is perfectly legit. But we say 80-20 because that's about where the numbers fall. And it's true. I mean, I remember some years back, I still got it, but it's nowhere near where it used to be for various reasons. We had a fetish blog, and we used to get a couple of thousand hits a day. And when you did the analysis on the numbers, you know, 80, it was almost exactly 80 and 20. Something like 78% of the traffic came from 20% of the sources. And when that traffic landed, 80% of it landed on 20% of the pages, you know? It was just fucking ridiculously close. If you look at a list of the cities in the UK, 80% of the population, it's something like 77% of the population live in about 18% of the cities. You know, it's just mad how close it is. And these are almost immutable laws of nature, as far as we're aware. And they crop up everywhere. I mean, you know, you do anything. You look at your carpets. The vast majority of the wear on your carpets takes place in the very few places, the places you walk. We all know this is true, but we've all got clothes we never wear and clothes we wear all the time. That's 80-20, you know, we've got 20% of our clothes get 80% of the wear, and so on and so forth. But it's also apparent in our businesses, and it's things like your existing clients. If you've got a large client, well, any kind of client base of any size, where these numbers can actually come into play, most of your headaches come from a couple of, you know, a very small number of your clients. It's 80-20. In the same way as if you look at your site, you've got an e-commerce store, you find 80% of your sales go to 20% of the products. And if you look at the buyers, they'll come from 20% of the countries and all that kind of shit. But even when you put these things in front of people, you can actually put their sales figures in front of them, because I've done it in consulting sessions. They still don't believe it. Well, they believe it, as in they accept the numbers, but to them it's an academic exercise and bears no reality in actual real life, which is fucking stupid. Because if you take the 80-20 principle and really embrace it, it will change your life. Because what you will do, for instance, if you've got an email list or direct mail, and you just send your direct mail to the top 20% performers of your list, you'll save yourself 80% of the costs and still make about 8% of the sales. Mm-hmm. It's just ridiculous, but most business owners don't do this. But it also works in the more abstract, such as most people in the market themselves, say they put a post on LinkedIn, they try and please everybody. Yeah. And of course, by trying to be all things to all men and women, they end up being nothing to anyone of consequence. But if they think about 80-20, think, there's a very small number of people who are going to respond to this. I have a very fine message, that's going to hit just a few people. When 8% of people won't listen to it, I'll do that. But they don't. It's about knowing. It's really an embodiment of the. I think most people would have heard the phrase, "Small hinges swing big doors."
Yeah,
well, that's 80-20. That's saying that a large amount of effects come from a small number of causes or efforts. And our job, really, if we want to make life easy for ourselves, is to figure where those 20% things are and put our time and effort in there. So these numbers, they'll change your life. They really will. Now, because what people don't realize is, that's the power of 80-20. It's about putting your effort where it belongs, but people kind of don't really get how disparate these numbers are. Well, if the numbers are 80 and 20, I can show you the math. It's trivial, but what you'll find is a high value 20% activity, meaning one of the small number of things you do which has a great effect, compared to a low value 80% activity, which is one of the many causes that have a low effect. The high value activity is 16. If your numbers are 80-20, the high value activity gives you a 16 times increase in the 16 times. That is the power of 80-20. Now, to some people, that's just an academic exercise. Oh, that's really interesting. What do we do with it? But it's not just a matter of focusing on what works. There's a good reason for doing it too, if you really get your head around it. Because what people will do is they will look at these things. So these areas are really high performing, and these ones are low. Let's work on these low performing areas and see if we can bring them up to speed. Not realizing that for every 1% increase you can make in a high value activity, is 16 times as powerful as a 1% increase in a low value activity. Probably the same amount of work. There'll be some exceptions, but for the most part, it is 16 times harder to get an improvement, like for like, in a low value activity than a high value one. So it makes no sense really to focus at all ever on your low value activities. If they need to be done, but they're not that valuable, but they need to be done, then pay someone else to do it. And by need to be done, I'm talking about there's things like your VAT return needs to be, taxes need to be done. They're not particularly high value activities. You should be delegating those. As business owners, we should be focused on the things that bring us money and the things that bring us a lot of money. Now, for us, for instance, what do we focus our time on when we're in the mood for it? Say we're recruiting for lead. We focus most of our time and energy on getting new clients because that's a high value activity for us. Yeah. That's why we took Holly on to do stuff that's not such high value. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but of course, most business owners will try to save money by doing all this stuff themselves, not realizing that for every hour they doing shitty graphic design, they'd be better off sitting thinking, okay, I could speak to 3 clients in that hour and maybe move a sale forward, and that's how it could be worth tens of thousands of pounds. Yeah, it's a false economy. They don't realise the 16 times effect. And here's what it actually means. Just talking about numbers, they don't really mean a lot to us. They're just numbers. Unless you're mathematically inclined, numbers don't mean much. Yeah. This is why we have graphical representations, because that gives us visual representation. But think about this. If you wanted to make, if you were to say to someone, I'll give you an actual example in a minute of what happened. But if you were to say to most people, look, I want you to take a pay cut of 20%. But here's the thing, you only have to work for 20% of the time. That means you're getting 80% of your salary, but you only work on a Monday. Would you do that? You'd be a fucking idiot not to. Gives you 4 days off for the rest of the week. And what you do in that time is entirely up to you. You could just take the time off, or you could spend those 4 days developing skills and other parts of your life to make more high value activities. Yeah, it doesn't make it that's a consequence of the numbers. And many years ago, I was in Ireland, so it's no more than 14 years ago, but it's between 10 and 14 years ago. One of my clients, his son was selling model cars off the website. And for some reason, 80/20, most of his sales came from fucking Singapore. Now, you'd never guess that, but for some obscure reason, there's a bunch of fucking Singaporeans buying these. They're expensive cars. It's £200 or £300 a time. Model cast iron cars, buying these little cars for 300 quid from a bloke in Nottingham. Bizarre. But that's what was happening. But he also had a shop in Nottingham. And he spent all week in the shop, Monday to Saturday inclusive. And he had this emotional tug. I can't just not open the shop. And they had some contractual agreement where he would keep the shop open, but that's easy. Just close the shop and store your stock somewhere else. You know, you don't have to have a shop. And I said to him, look, this makes no sense, because he had his numbers. And I said, look, your numbers are clearly, you can't argue with these. You gave them to me. These numbers are telling me you're making 90% of your sales and 10% of your activity online. You're making 10% of your sales from your shop. And that's where you spend most of your time, sitting around waiting for people to come and buy from you, or chatting to them when they drop in and maybe drop 10 quid on a magazine, a specialist magazine. I said, shut your shop, lose 10% of your income, shut your shop and focus exclusively on selling these cars, more of them. You've only got to sell maybe one more a week and you're done.
Yeah.
And he says, I can't believe it. I said, this can't be right. I said, well, show me where it's wrong. Show me where what I'm saying is wrong, and I'll agree with you, but show me where I'm wrong. It was an emotional thing. Now, the thing is, 80/20 is an emotional fucking hurdle to get over, because it's not intuitive. We humans, we see the world as being linear, and it isn't. Mm-hmm. This is why exponential growth in the pandemic was hard to get our heads around, because we just don't think exponentially. We can barely think geometrically, let alone exponentially. But we prefer to think linearly. That's because we live in you think about it, we live in a very linear range of temperatures, range of speeds. We got before we invented powered travel, no human, unless he was falling off something and therefore it didn't last very long, no human would have traveled at much more than 40 miles an hour, and only then when riding a horse. No one would have run more than 25 miles an hour. It's a very fucking narrow range of speed. Yeah. So this is another reason why, of course, why we find it difficult to drive 100 miles an hour, because things happen too fast for us. That's why it's so dangerous, unless you are trained in it. We think we live linearly. 80/20 is absolutely not linear. So it is an emotional fucking pull towards, no, let's treat all customers and clients the same, because this is what it also means, by the way, right? You have to accept the fact, when you accept 80/20, as you must, because not to accept it is like saying you don't accept pi is 3.1415926 or so on, or accepting the sun doesn't rise in the east and set in the west. It's a fact. You can argue all you fucking like and your opinion's irrelevant. It's a fact. 80/20 is a fact. It operates everywhere. You can't change the numbers, not really, but you can choose which one you want to be in. So when people fight this, what they try to do is they'll say, no, but we've got to treat all customers the same way. So the guy who spent maybe 20 quid on buying a book from me gets the same treatment as the guy who's spending 1,500 quid a month being a lead. That's how people behave. Well, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense at all. The guy who's bought the book deserves a certain amount of respect, certainly as a human being. But as a client, he's insignificant, and you're treating him that way. Thank you for your custom, but you don't get to speak to me on the phone and get me to answer your questions just because you've dropped 20 quid on the book. You just don't. If you think you do, then you need your head checking. You've not read the book properly, because they'll tell you there.
Silly sausages. There's so many practical examples people can fucking run away and look at straight away. As you said, simply sales figures. Where are they coming from? Products, locations. If you're dealing with kitchens and bathrooms, things like that, look at your postcodes. Is there a correlation there? The alarming thing is these numbers run true with your staff as well, especially if you haven't got a proper fucking corporate style 4R documents and all of the other shenanigans to go along with it, metrics, responsibilities. Think about that, fucking 80% of your wage bill.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to give an example now, because the guys who are in the trades are probably thinking, yeah, he's probably right, but so to give the guys of the trades an idea of how they've experienced this themselves and perhaps not even realised. I'll use an experience of my own, because I used to fit telephone systems in offices and factories, which isn't a million miles away from being an electrician. Work, running cables and fitting things. You'd go to the job in the morning, and within an hour or two, you've done a load of work, and you think, oh, I've nearly done. But then it takes you another 2 or 3 days to get all the bits finished, the little bits. That's 80-20. You've done 80% of the work with 20%, 80% of the job in 20% of the time, but the remaining 80% of the job, 20% of the job, tidying up, takes the vast amount of the time. Everyone in the trades would have experienced this, whether they're doing carpentry, laying carpets, fitting roofs. The bulk of the work, you think, wow, it's really moving fast. We're done now. We're nearly done, but you're not. I bet this will resonate with them as well. Cleaning a kitchen, you get all the tops fucking shiny and things within a few minutes, and then you realise little nooks and crannies that you spend ages picking out. 20% of the fucking stuff you need to do takes 8% of the time. It just is. Now, it's something else people might want to think about. When we go to work, say we work for 10 hours. What we need to understand and really get our heads around is 80% of that time, so 8 of those hours, we're only earning. Because if we say we work for 10 hours, get paid £10 an hour, so it's £100. We think we've done 10 hours work and got paid 10 hours, 10 times for it. We've not.
No.
We've been paid a pittance for 80% of the time and a fuckload of money for the 20% of the time. 16 times as much for those precious 2 hours as we have for the other 8. We just have. Now, part of the trick to making the 80-20 work for you is to figure out where these fucking things are, and to take those low value things and either don't do them or get someone else to do them. Now, here's how anyone can dramatically improve their life and businesses, because 80-20 does not just apply to your business. Right? If you're listening to this, well, if you're not listening to this, you won't be hearing my voice anyway, so it's a bit of a fucking pointless thing to say. But listening to this now, I want you to think about 2 things in your life: the really good times and the really bad times, or even the really good times and the rest of the times, even if you don't want to think about the really bad ones. So most people would consider happiness times, as Richard Koch, the guy who kind of coined the term bully 80-20 principle, he certainly wrote the seminal book on the subject. He calls them happiness islands. Where are they? Well, it's going to be things like probably having sex, if it's good, you've got a good relationship, having sex, having quality time together.
Yeah.
Beer with the lads. Hey?
A beer with the lads.
Beer with the lads. But it's going to be quite small, discrete events, because your life, no one's life is one big party. Even these fucking Instagram influencers who appear with the fucking books and birds on the beach and things, they're not doing that all day. That's maybe 1 hour a day for a photo shoot. The rest of the day, they're doing the mundane stuff we all do, including having a shit and wiping their asses. They just are.
Having a wank.
So, our times of extreme happiness are they're quite few and far between, really. And that's necessary. That's just the way life is. And the rest of our time is just meh. Now, what Richard Koch says is, focus on these happiness islands and try and have more of them. Mm-hmm. Put your time and effort and your planning into the happiness islands. So having sex, having romantic interludes, going on holiday. That's what you should be focusing your energy on. And the other times, which are either just meh or sometimes fucking traumatic and hideous, like, say, Christmas with your in-laws, which I know is a really bad thing for some people. I don't do it, never have done, never will. Well, not since my ex-wife and I split up. So since we were with Sarah, I said, one of the first things I said was, we don't do Christmas with anyone else but ourselves. That's it. That's not negotiable. And that's been fine for 15, 16 years. More, 18 years. So figure out where your happiness islands are. Do more of the stuff that gets you towards those. And then your unhappiness islands, you know, just don't do them. This is about making rules now. You know, I don't want to go and spend 3 days with the in-laws. And if that's a problem in our marriage, then we need to talk about that, because I'm not making myself miserable just for 3 days with your fucking mother and your father, and they're constant. So that's dramatically how to improve your life and business. To kind of sum it up is, find the 20% of things giving you the best results. Life and business. So clients, marketing, happiness islands, fitness. You know, find the things where you have the most effect. It is work, but that's what we need to do. And once you've found those 20% of things, put them down on a fucking list. And then what we said yesterday about having a list of the 5 things you need to do, focus 80% of your time and energy on the 20% of the things that give you the best results. So say you work a 10-hour day. It's probably longer than most people do, but just for the sake of argument, make the maths easy. You work a 10-hour day. For 8 of those hours of that day, you're going to be focused on the 20% of things making your life better, life business, you know? So acquiring clients, creating the kind of content that sells, doing all the high value stuff. And then the 20% of the time, so for 2 hours, that's when you might check Facebook, respond to comments on LinkedIn, check shares and views, look at your open rate on your emails, all the stuff that might be interesting, but is actually worth it. If you were to do that for a year, I guarantee anyone listening to this, your life will be dramatically improved, because you're going to spend all that time, 80% of your working time, your effortful time, on the 20% of things which make a difference in your life and in your business. And the rest of the shit you'll find just disappears into nowhere. And, you know, let's be really fucking brutally honest about all this now. Most people's time on things like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram is wasted. It's just you browsing with your thumb, sitting there with your phone like a fucking cabbage. Kind of. We all do it, having a shit, scrolling through Instagram, you know. But people spend a lot of time doing it. They'll spend hours doing it, spend hours and hours on. I mean, for some people on LinkedIn, for instance, they wear this as a badge of honor. They will reply to every single comment. Well, imagine if you're getting a lot of engagement. You spend all your time commenting for what reason? That is a really fucking 80% shit that doesn't matter. That is.
Yeah, yucky.
Of course, most people won't do any of this. They'll just say, nah, it works for John and Connor, but I've got a bone in my leg or I've twisted my blood. It won't work for me.
Such cliche now, isn't it? But I'm different.
I'll tell you what, I noticed something. This is quite funny. It's not a 1 minute hate. I don't have one for today. But this is, for some reason on Instagram, I get, you know, have you seen it recently? They suggest people to follow.
I know of that feature, but I don't have Instagram on my phone.
Okay, I mean, I get some of the most bizarre things. I get a lot of yoga people, obviously, because I've bought something from Lucas Rockwell. Bizarrely, I get knife sharpening kits. For some reason, they want to sell. Perhaps I just clicked on an ad once, and that's it. Oh, this guy's into knife sharpening. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, woodwork or something.
Yeah, but one thing I also get is I seem to be getting a lot of these blokey type things, lad Bible, and then alpha male, wolf male, all this fucking probably bordering on genuine toxic masculinity stuff, incels. And I think that's because I do follow Jordan B. Peterson. I don't agree with everything he says, but I do like the guy. And I like a lot of what he has to say. He's got some very good points. But the thing is, so this is close to the 1 minute hate, but it's without the ranting tone, I suppose. What I see often is these people who run these accounts, they'll post a meme. One of them this morning was, when I'm feeling mad, I like to distance myself from others because I can be a real arsehole around them. And all these fucking, basically when he's angry, he likes to move away from people and keep himself to himself. because he'll be a real arsehole to people around him.
Okay.
Yeah? And he's wearing that as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I actually made the comment that says, you're basically wearing as a badge of honor your inability to control your own emotions around people. Why is that something to be proud of? That's what he's saying. Now, here's the thing. Men, really genuinely strong, assertive men who are they're basically self-actualizing. Strong, assertive, self-actualizing men, I guarantee, are not on Instagram posting memes about it. Those guys are living in a fucking shed in the woods, not speaking to people, being on their own, wrestling bears with their penises and things. That's what they're doing. Men who do that kind of thing aren't bragging about it with memes. And even worse than that, they're not commenting on it going, yeah, that's me, fucking burning fire icon with thumbs up and shit, you know? They're just not doing that. Those guys are incels sitting in their basements with a lot of fucking Kleenex and porn mags.
Thinking
that probably is toxic masculinity that these people are always on about. Because they are not strong, assertive, self-actualizing men at all. They are fucking little boy wannabes with micro penises.
You'd have a good little giggle at a subreddit called Nice Guys. And the whole premise is just about guys who, I'm not like the others, I'm a nice guy. When in reality, they are the most misogynistic, incel, red pill type losers going.
Oh man, I do despise men, not because they make the rest of the bad.
There's that whole,
I don't care what. It's just, it's pitiful.
There's that whole, they call it a movement. I imagine you've seen it. Men going their own way.
Yeah, I've heard of it. There's a few like that, but yeah.
MG Toe is the anime.
Oh yes, yes, I'm aware of it.
God, that is sad. That is a sad place.
Well, the thing is, they're not men going their own way. No, they're men on the internet posting about going their own way. They're just like the people on LinkedIn posting about being authentic and I don't care what you think all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
You care so little about what others think and you're so fucking authentic, you won't shut up about it. Fuck's sake. It reminds me of these fucking religious people and pastors who hate gay people and gayness is an abomination. You know, you keep going on about that so much and I'm expecting to find you crawling up my bottom in the public toilet at some point, you know? And that's exactly what happens. Well, not in my bottom, obviously.
As they whisper in your ear, I'm going in dry.
I'm going in dry, big boy. But seriously, these fucking incels that make me laugh. And they'll say things like, women won't have sex with me because they're stuck up, they're bitches, they're prick teasers, all these things. No, women won't have sex with you because you're an obnoxious, weak, needy, desperate fucking piece of shit. That's why they won't have sex with you, mate.
We always descend into this. Some form.
You know why? It gives me a fucking rocker. It gives me a fucking rocker, that's why.
Imagine a pastor having a fantasy about snapping their banjo string, their foreskin, fucking someone dry up the arse.
Get this wrong.
And then it just gets
Is that what you call it, a banjo string?
Yeah, your banjo. And it gets progressively easier as the blood just comes pouring out.
I've never really called a banjo string.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? Your old banjo string.
Yeah, I learned so much from you, Connor.
OnlyFans, banjo string.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to use banjo string as my OnlyFans username.
That's a good one.
All these fucking people listening to this now will be on OnlyFans searching for banjo string.
Yeah, did you like that Twitter thing I sent you? That I said, now you've discovered OnlyFans.
Yeah. I took a quick look at it.
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
I've been more active on Twitter recently because of the PR we're doing, but it baffles me a little bit. I don't really understand
it. I can teach you. Twitter's probably currently one of the most cancel culture, toxic social media. However, the other side of it, with a curated following, is, in my opinion, by far the best social media.
Well, it's the reason I've been more active on it is because my PR lady, Kerry, told me to be. She says it's where the journalists hang out.
Yeah.
And it's easy to reach them because that's where they're looking. And that's all I'm there for. I'm not that hopeful about building a large, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in social media for social media purposes. I mean, I'm on Instagram to promote me and the business. I'm on Twitter for the same. Facebook originally just to keep in touch with the kids. And I got some friends in the States I've known for literally decades on the internet. Since Usenet was a thing, and I'm in touch with them. But I mean, otherwise, I'm just not interested in social media. It's a fucking cancerous thing.
Yeah, it is. I detest it.
And it doesn't enamor itself to me by showing me memes from these fucking wannabe Alpha Wolf fucking Thor Odin males.
Did you see the meme?
Oh, these fucking people just pretend to be Vikings.
Oh God!
What the fuck is wrong with them?
How about the fairies?
Apart from anything else, Viking wasn't something you were. Viking was something you did. You went Viking. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Vikings were not particularly nice people. They murdered and killed and raped and pillaged. Yeah, their culture had a pretty good attitude towards women. It could become shield maidens and the rest of it. But I mean, aside from that small thing, they were pretty fucking, well, most people were pretty nasty back in those days. Everyone kept fucking slaves. Everyone raped and murdered. And it was a pretty nasty place to be. People look about life now, how difficult it is. Go back in time a few hundred or thousand years and see where you were then. Very few people were rich, nobility. They got an okay. But, the chances are you would die and live poor, brutalized. And when you died, you didn't just die in a fucking hospital bed attached to a ventilator or something. You'd be fucking murdered. You'd be strung up. You'd be fucking burnt. You'd be fucking crucified, cut to pieces, have your throat slit, be beaten to death, fucking eaten by fucking animals. There's a million of ways to fucking go, none of them pleasant. And that's probably the way you would have gone. So let's not fucking go back to the good old days when women lived to the ripe old age of childbirth, Anyway.
We should do a whole segment called like Connor teaches John something, but give it a better name than that.
Yeah, because people will be expecting gay porn.
Where I just take something very millennial or something along those lines and be like, John, have you seen this? And if you have, not a problem. You can share your thoughts on it. But if you haven't, I get the joy of getting to explain it to you because it's fucking wonderful.
I tell you what, when you will learn this one day if you live long enough. There is a point when you become an old man, and you are the grumpy old man, and you realise you are the grumpy old man. You know what? But you know what's really cool? You fucking love it. You love it. You think I am that grumpy. I am Victor fucking Meldrew.
I don't know.
Do you remember Victor Meldrew?
No.
1 foot in the grave. I don't believe it.
You are that old man.
Yeah, I am the grumpy old man, and I think that's fucking great. I love being a grumpy old man.
Don't I fucking know it on our daily calls? Do I have to be here for this? Bye.
Speaking of which, I won't be on the call tomorrow morning. I'll be on the TI call. We're not the obstacle.
Okay, buddy. No stress. Should we wrap this up?
Right. Yeah, we're done. So, if you want to attract better clients, sell to them at higher rates, and it will deliver to you in a pipeline, so you've got a constant stream of high quality inquiries coming in, so you can make predictable sales. Even though the economy now, it looks very good, it's not. We're actually in a recession, so it will boil down to a load of fucking people joining the trades, low prices. It's going to turn into a shit show in the next 6 to 12 months, so please don't let me have to say I told you so. If you want to do all that, have a rock solid business. So my Fitbit's telling me something. If you want a rock solid business on a firm foundation, so when the shit does hit the fan, your competitors look at you and they're spitting feathers wondering what the fuck happened to them, go to ottpodcast.co.uk and avail yourself of our free resources. And then, in the meantime, stay safe, stay aside, wash your hands, and please do not shake on your fingers. See you later.
Don't snap your banjo. Right, Marvin, end the podcast there. John, can we do a little spiel about the round table for Marvin to whack at the beginning?
Oh, for fuck's sake, I thought my job was done for today.
your 15 seconds, you miserable, grumpy old bastard.
So, all right. Right, just before we start, I've got an important announcement for you. In early April, I'm hosting a round table. It's free, it's exclusive and invitation only. What we're going to do is there'll be you and no fewer than 8 and no more than 12 other business owners. You'll share what's working for you and what's not. I'll share what's working for us and what's not. And then I'm going to go through some very cool things through all 9 accelerators to show you how to fix your business and what ails you. Now, there'll be no selling on the call. It's not a sales presentation. But what we do get out of it is we know that some of the people who go through this work with us and walk away with this model, some of them will want us to help them implement the model with them. And that's fine. Those who don't can take it away, do it themselves, no problem. So let's be upfront and clear about why we're doing it. We're not just doing it for free, hoping for relationships and giving value bombs. We're doing it because we do want to make sales, but there'll be no selling on the round table. Now, because of that, we only want a certain kind of person. So you have to qualify. And to do that, you speak to Connor. If you want a place at the round table, no fewer than 8, no more than 12. You want a place at the next round table, all you got to do is email Connor, Connor, C-O-N-N-O-R, at growyourbusinessfast.co.uk. He'll get back to you, lead you through the process, and we'll perhaps see you on the call. All right. In the meantime, stay safe, stay inside, wash your hands, and listen to the rest of the podcast. Yeah.